Hi, Carrie.
Hey, Tim. Hey, Sammy.
What's that?
Oh, Sammy should be on here too. She doesn't have her microphone on.
Cassie, can't see me. I can't see me. Because she's toast.
We'll just give everybody a couple minutes, see if a couple people just forgot about the time.
No worries. I hope so. Nice down there today, Carrie?
Oh, it was nice.
Yeah, it was here too.
As long as it doesn't get windy, I'm happy. I don't care.
I hear you.
Is your video not up on my end or your end, Tim?
I see just you. I don't see anything else.
Right, but I don't see you.
You don't?
No, I see your name.
Yeah? Huh. Let me, oh, I see me.
I see you now.
You.
Oh, now you're the head guy.
Oh, gosh. We're all in trouble.
At least on my screen.
Yeah, I see you, like you're on my screen, and then up top I see Sammy, oh, connecting now, and then a Shelly.
Okay, yeah.
But
Oh, they're saying, oh, now it's rotating through.
aha. Yeah, see. Try to share it now and see if it comes in. Should I do it? See if it comes up. I'm gonna try something while we're waiting here, Carrie.
Okay. All right.
Did that show up on your screen?
I still have you. Yeah.
Hold on.
Oh, there you go.
Can't see. Oh,
Nice.
see it? All right.
All right. You can actually just leave it there. Can Sammy and Shelly, you guys either message me or jump
Are
in
you
here.
able to hear me?
What's up?
Are you able to hear me?
Yeah. Can you guys see Tip?
Yeah, it just pulled up.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see it.
All right. Well, a few more people are probably going to join in a little late, and I just sent out a Facebook. I'm guessing the day got nice and people lost track of time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anyway, we'll just start. I will introduce you two, and then if more people jump on, Tim, I might jump back in, reintroduce, or do it again at the end. But
Absolutely.
Tim Gasling is a captain in the Potter, Nebraska Fire Department. And my understanding is that Potter, Nebraska is almost in the middle of nowhere.
Pretty close.
Has a lot of experience in the rural and semi-rural areas with fire equipment, safety equipment. These two guys, Tim, are in my barn a lot, so they've seen your equipment, but I have to be honest, I have not done staff training. So
Gotcha.
if it comes down to it at the end, that may be a good thing that they need to see this too. So
Absolutely.
all right, well, so we'll just hand it over to Tim, and if it stays small, you guys can ask questions as we go along. If the group gets bigger, we'll hold them till the end.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.
Are you recording this too? So will this like get posted?
It should be recording, and it will get posted.
Cool.
Perfect. All right. Hello, everybody. Like Carrie said, my name is Tim Gasling. I am a captain of Nebraska on the Potter Fire Department. I am at 13 years now in the fire service. As well as doing that, I'm also a fire safety consultant for AKE Safety Equipment based out of Rochester, Minnesota. First and foremost, thank you, Carrie, for putting this together. I mean, this is a great opportunity for all of us to get a little bit of a refresher, maybe teach you a thing or two you don't know. You know, fire is not good. You guys know that. As you see on my main screen, are you prepared for the unexpected? Most generally, the answer to that question is no. As I go through all my stuff today, there's one thing I want you all to remember. If you don't remember anything else out of this, is fire does not put itself on a calendar. It does not say, hey, Carrie, be ready at noon tomorrow. I'm going to be there. It shows up at the most unexpected times and usually at the worst times. So quick rundown of what we're going to go over today. We're going to do a little bit of house stuff right at the start. Then we're going to get into the barn and equipment side of things. The third thing we'll talk about is the difference between a full-time fire department and a volunteer fire department, some of the pros and cons there. And then at the very end, I'm going to do a little bit of a demonstration for you guys, some of this stuff I got sitting here. And then, as Carrie said, you know, questions, we'll answer all of them we can. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. So as you can see on here, I have house fire safety. These are just a few key things. You guys all know the kitchen grease fire is the #1 house fire right now. You know, typically you're cooking bacon or, you know, something like that. You might forgot about it. Next thing you know, you got a fire. Do not put water in. You guys probably all know that, but let's just remind everybody, water is not a good solution on a grease fire. You have a powder agent that you can use. You have a liquid agent you can use, and we'll discuss that here in a second. But no water on the kitchen fire. #2, you'll see dryer fire. This is where a lot of people do not understand that dryer fires are now the number 2 right there with electrical fires as the number 2 and 3 starting causes of a house fire. What could possibly go wrong in your dryer to start a fire? I'm going to jump down one, and you'll see right there. That is your dryer vent. You can see one that has not been cleaned out, and one that's, brand new, or, just cleaned out. I'm sure you guys all do a great job of taking your lint trap out of the dryer, taking that little piece of, lint off, throwing it away. If not, every load you need to do that. And then 3 months to 5 months, you need to do what that shows right there is that lint builds up in there, and you know what heat does with lint? Makes a fire. So I personally have been to 2 house fires that were started by the dryer. Luckily, both of those, we got there soon enough. It did not turn into a total disaster, but you want to talk about a stink, and that is wet clothes that are on fire. It does not smell good. So definitely, something to think about if you didn't know that. Dryer fires are a big concern. Safe meeting places. So if you guys have kids, and not necessarily just kids, grandkids, yourselves, kids, I know it sounds kind of crazy as adults sit here and talk about we need to have a safe meeting place. That is very, very important. So for us, my personal 2 boys, we have a tree. The tree is our safe meeting place. Something happened in the house, everybody needs to know to get to that tree. One, that helps us as firefighters when we get there. We know, hey, everybody's accounted for. Okay, we don't need to do a search and rescue. Or no, hey, Carrie hasn't made it out yet. George, where's she at? She's in that bedroom. All right, let's go. Aiden's here. The kids are all here. We're good. So if you have little ones or grandkids at your house, anything like that, discuss a safe meeting place and have an escape plan, And what comes with that is you'll see on their proper windows. If you have a basement and you have a newer house, you probably have egress windows. If you do not have a newer house, there's a chance, and you haven't, installed egress windows, you need to have egress windows. A lot of the older style houses do not have those, and it is quite impossible to get out, especially for little kids. And then actually even adults, because we're just a lot bigger than the kids, we can't fit through those little windows in there. So take a look at what you got. Hopefully you already have that, and there is nothing we need to worry about there. So I know that was kind of fast on the house stuff. Right on the right side of your screen, you're going to see I put fire extinguisher locations. A lot of people don't have the right amount of fire extinguishers in their houses. Quite frankly, just they didn't know any different, which again is why we're here. You're going to see on there, I put the kitchen. Obviously, grease fire right there. You should have one in your kitchen. We talked about dryer fires. You should have one in your laundry room. And this third one right here is what gets most people, an occupied bedroom. Why would we have a fire extinguisher in our bedroom? There's really nothing that's going to catch on fire in there most of the time. True, but that is your lifeline out of the house at times. So you're sleeping, your smoke detectors have went off, there's a problem, you grab your extinguisher, maybe you got to the problem, got it put out, maybe you got yourself to the door, maybe you got yourself to a window. So one in each occupied bedroom is a very good thing to have as well. And lastly, if you have an attached garage to your house, definitely one in there. If you pull your vehicles in there, crazy things happen with vehicles. So that is a quick rundown on the house safety stuff. Carrie, do you want me to do questions now, or you want to wait till the end on the house fire? Oh, did we lose you, Carrie? Uh-oh, I don't hear you, Carrie.
That's because I muted myself.
There you go. There you are.
This group will just let you know if you need to stop.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. So guys, if you have questions, just ask. We'll just go with the flow. Don't be afraid to interrupt or anything. So, anybody have anything on the house side. All right. Now to the side that probably concerns most all of you guys on here, and that is the farm side of the thing. So I consider farm anything from barns to equipment to outbuildings, anything outside of your house is basically farm related. On here, some key talking points. We got the electrical side and the fuel side on this one here. You'll see outlets. Outlets, breaker boxes, heat lamps, space heaters, and extension cords. All good fire starters. On your outlets, make sure your covers are on. Your wiring is good, secure, nothing loose in there. I am not an electrician. I don't recommend walking up if you see a bare wire and jiggling it. That's probably going to hurt, but you'll know that maybe you need to address that, shut the power off, get it fixed. Breaker boxes are huge right here. You're going to see here in a second, I'm going to show you some pictures. If you don't have covers on your breaker boxes, get them on there, and you're going to see why here in a second. You'll get cobwebs in there, dirt, straw, anything that can find its way in there is going to pack in there, and guess what's going to happen? You're probably going to have a fire at some point. So, breaker boxes, very key. Heat lamps, probably the most dangerous thing out there today. I will say the newer style heat lamps are much better than the old ones that we all used to hang above. They got knocked down. The barn looks like that very first picture in no time. So be very, very careful with heat lamps, where you're putting your heat lamps and how you're using your heat lamps. Extension cords and heat lamps go together. If you're running a heat lamp on an extension cord, you have to make sure that extension cord is rated for the watts that heat lamp is pulling. There's different sizes of extension cords. The bigger, the better. So space heaters, I don't know if you guys use a lot of those. I know some people still do. If you are, be very cautious with those as well. You're going to notice anything that gets close to them, just like in your house with your heaters, if it's close, it's hot, there's a chance you're going to have a fire. Not trying to scare you guys at all with any of this stuff, but like I said, it's just a good reminder for us. I'm going to jump down the slide here and show you. As you can see, the two on the left over here, if your breaker boxes look like that, probably not good. Probably going to need to do something. You can see on the right that, a brand new, what these are supposed to look like. I will be honest, I've never seen one like that far left one, but the middle picture, definitely, very common, especially if it's an older barn, an older farmstead, or we just didn't have the updated stuff on there yet. So if your breaker boxes look like either of those two, we better get something done there. So, any questions on the electrical side?
Is there maintenance that needs to be done on breaker boxes and stuff? Do people get those checked regularly or?
You certainly can. That's a great question. So as far as I know, unless you're a business that has a code, an electrical code you have to follow, you don't have to, have somebody come and inspect it, unless you just want to, if, you said, holy crap, I haven't looked at that thing. We never blow a breaker. We never opened the box if it, had a cover on it. And you want an electrician to come out and just test stuff. They can check your breakers. They are going to different style of breakers now on newer stuff that's much safer as well. You can certainly just call a local electrician. They can come out, and I honestly don't know what the charge would be. I can't imagine for just a basic inspection it would be, too terribly bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, gotcha.
Yep. So, like I said, if you own a business, sometimes there's codes that they have to follow, and it's whether it's a yearly or 5 years. I don't know on that for sure. So, Good question. All right, let's jump onto the fuel side. So, fuel storage is a problem as well. We all have gas cans, we all have propane, we all have diesel. and the list goes on and on and on of flammable stuff, liquid stuff that we all have around our place. I know it's impossible to say, all right, I got to have one building that I need all of this stuff in. With that being said, if it is, something you can do where you have a fuel storage shed, maybe where you keep your fuel separate from, your main barn or your main, rodeo arena, whatever you guys have, keep that fuel stored separately. If at all possible, mark it with a placard as well. The Diamond Red is a flammable liquid placard. You can print them online. You can go buy them. They're like $10. And the reason I say that is it really, really helps the first responders that get there to go, oh boy, that's the shed. We do not want to catch fire right now. That's where all the flammable liquids are. We understand you're going to have cans in different places and stuff like that. But again, if at all possible, keep them in a different building. You probably have your own tanks. Maybe some of you do. Those are not inside, I'm assuming. Most of them aren't. If they are, highly recommend getting them outside. It just adds a huge, huge problem when we're trying to put a fire out if we get to dealing with gas, diesel, propane, anything like that. I'm not saying take your propane bottle off your grill from your house every night and go put it in that shed. Just if you have mass storages or mass containers of that stuff, keep it away from everything else. It'll help out in the long run, especially. Oily rags, that is the craziest thing ever. If you've never noticed the red rags we all buy for shop work or anything like that, them things are flammable as crap. They you just get a spark on them, they're on fire. They really should be stored in a metal container, metal cabinet of some sort, picked up off the floor when they're done. You shouldn't even just throw them in your trash can, to be honest with you. They should go in a different canister, metal container. Those things will light up fast. So I personally have good experience with that, and it's not fun. So definitely be careful with your oily rags. Outside of that, the basic, knowledge you guys all know on what's flammable and what's not, but everything that is flammable as far as a liquid will have a flammable liquid sticker somewhere on it. Let you know, hey, be careful if you got this around an open flame. Don't be scared to use it in the right ways, but just be cautious of all times. So questions on the fuel side? All right, you guys are keeping this pretty easy. Now we're getting into the stuff that you guys deal with every day. Hay, straw, feed, and manure. We all know how flammable, how dangerous, how quick this stuff goes up if it does catch on fire. The hay side of stuff and straw, I know you guys are very good about if it's wet to not put it inside anywhere, keep it away from stuff. Use that feed first if you can. Definitely watch it. As we warm up here sooner than later, that's when that stuff starts going up. It'll start out as a smolder. It'll probably smolder for days. You may get lucky and smell it. You may not. The next thing you know, middle of the night, somebody's knocking on your door going, hey, you got a fire. And that's what's happened. That stuff starts on the inside and it just slowly works its way out. And once the oxygen gets to it, it's over. So be very, very cautious. If you can, store your straw, hay, feed, anything like that, at least 20 to 30 feet away from the building. That could be a huge difference for you guys. I know that's not possible. A lot of you guys probably have it under a lean-to or in the barn even. Just be cautious that it isn't wet when it goes in there. If it is wet, try to leave it outside as long as possible. Let it dry out some. If it will, it's not going to dry from the inside very fast. So hopefully whoever baled it, didn't have it super wet. That is scary. The manure, believe it or not, pile of manure, same thing. It can do it. I don't know if you guys realize dry cow patties are great fire starters, and they are our worst nightmares when we're out on grass fires. We spend more time driving around spraying cow patties because those things do not go out. They'll burn and burn and burn. So yeah, be careful where you're storing that. If you have it piled up for a day or two, don't be afraid of that. If you have a pile that's been sitting there for a long time that may be wet on the inside, there's a chance. So it's not a huge chance, but it is a chance. So definitely be cautious with that. Equipment side of things, guys, tractors, skid loaders, balers, swathers, anything you may have. We all know, keep them clean. Grease all over them, not good, not good. Get some heat on there, get a little fire turns into a big fire very quick. For me, when I deal with like corn crop guys, wheat crop guys, sunflower guys with combines, stuff like that, bearings, always check your bearings on your equipment. That is usually the number one starter of a fire out here, is a bearing will go out on something. Unfortunately, there's a lot of times they don't know it. I mean, they thought they were good, they checked them, and they went about their day, and middle of the afternoon, that bearing went out, and we have a combine on fire. So, you know, check the bearings and wiring. Wiring, as you guys all know, electricity sparking, something shorting out, there's a good chance you'll have a fire. It is tough to say go and look through all the wiring on your equipment you may have, because that's next to impossible. But if you notice something that just doesn't look right, you know, seem right, get somebody out there, get it fixed if you can't fix it for yourself, because it will possibly save you a lot of money later on down the road. So I have a quick, that's not good. That's grease and oil all over a tractor. Fire waiting to happen. So please, if you have anything that looks like that, get it cleaned up, get you some degreaser. You can buy degreaser at any parts store, spray it on there, get it power washed off. That will help you out tremendously. I'm sure you guys all tow trailers around. Trailers are a fire problem as well, like anything. Generally going down the road, it would be either a wheel bearing that's went out that could cause the problem, and or if you have electric brakes, a brake hangs up, you're dragging that. That's very common on the 18 wheelers. We get called out on the interstate to these fires quite often. They'll have a brake hang up, and next thing you know, they got a fire. Luckily, those fires usually stay small as long as you get to them quick. See somebody flashing their lights behind you, maybe they're telling you got a bearing out, or, you know, brake hung up and you're about to have a problem. If you have live-in quarters with generators, be very cautious of where your generator is at running. I'm sure you guys either have them mounted on top or they're in side cabinets that you take out. Either way, just be cautious of where that exhaust is, where it's going. One, obviously not back into the trailer where you're sleeping, and two, you know, that it's not going on anything hot. If you're, you know, somewhere with the grass is kind of dry and kind of tall, be cautious with your exhaust off your generators. Certainly could, you know, have an issue there as well. So outside of that, on any of those things, I hope I'm not going too fast for you guys. If so, just say so. Tell me to slow down. I get going and talk fast. So any questions on that stuff? Probably one of the most scary topics is coming up here, and that's the brush and wildfire side of things. As you guys have experienced out there where you're at, you see what happens when a brush fire gets going. It's devastating. It takes houses, it takes a lot of ground with it. The wind is usually blowing when these start, and this is what causes the big problems. We can't keep up with them. On the mountains, you know, they can't get to them. It's just, these wildfires, for me, as 13 years in the fire service, I will go into somebody's house on fire any day of the week and feel safe over going on a wildfire. When the wind changes, that's how guys get killed. Things happen fast on these deals. So that's why I feel like when I'm in somebody's house, as long as I'm watching the smoke, reading it, it's not going to backdraft on me, flash on us. It's not going anywhere but where I'm at. So I know that sounds crazy, but gosh, honest truth, I would much rather be inside a burning house than out on a massive wildfire. So what do we do to try to help prevent some of this stuff? One, from starting in our own place, or two, let's say we have one started, over at the neighbors and it's coming towards our house. If you have any kind of tree grove, windbreak, things like that, I know it sucks. It's a pain to do, but keep them clean. Dead branches out, tumbleweeds out. Keep the grass down short. That will help tremendously. Any grass that you have around your buildings, keep it mowed short, at least 30 feet away from the building. That can serve as a fire break for you. If you can disc around your property or even have a 30-foot bare dirt, which I'll show you here in a second, fire line, well worth it, because when the wind's blowing like crazy, that thing's coming at you fast. 30 feet's not much, but it could be the difference. Unfortunately, there's other circumstances we can't control, like wildlife. We've had it happen to us before. You'll be fighting fire, think you about got it, and out comes a rabbit that's on fire. And what does it do? It runs right across the road, and guess what? Now we have another fire. So, we can't control that stuff, but we can do our part in keeping the grass mowed down, keeping those tree groves clean. Access roads. If you have a trail road through your property that maybe goes out into a pasture or something, don't leave stuff parked on there. Keep those trail roads open. Keep gates. I understand you probably lock a lot of your stuff. If there's a fire close, maybe get them unlocked if at all possible. Let the emergency guys go in and out. Get not your wildlife, get your animals out of there if you can. Don't put yourself in harm's way. Those critters are smarter than we all think. They will find a way out. Maybe you just cut the fence, do what you got to do. But if it's coming in a hurry. So, do any of that stuff you can. If you have outside hydrants, just your regular hydrants, if at all possible, keep a garden hose there. You could possibly need that. Maybe it's a small fire that you can just string your own hose out, get water on it. Maybe it's wet down on everything around your place, until you have to get out of there. I know it's a pain to have water or hoses all over the place, but certainly on the farm, that's not a bad idea. You have to understand that as rural folks up here and you guys where you're at, sometimes you have to be your own fire department, and we're going to get into that here in a second. It takes a long time for us to get to you guys. You got to use every tool you got. So, garden hose might be your best tool for that job. So, keep that in mind. You never know. Again, not trying to scare anybody, but just remember that it happens. You'll see the two pictures here. I'm certainly positive nobody's looks like the one on the left, but there are places like that. Tumbleweeds piled in around that shop there, barn. And the picture on the right, you can see how they've went around their whole tree grove, their whole property for that matter, and have this the spot. Yeah, you hate to tear up good grass and stuff like that, but it looks nice, and that could quite possibly be what saves that farm someday if there is a fire, if they continue to keep doing that. Extinguisher locations for you guys on the farm side. So in your buildings, they should be by every door exit. There's two reasons for that. One, you walk by it every day. You know it's there. You remember it's there. And two, let's say, I'll use me as an example. I'm driving down the road and I drive by your place someday and I see there's some smoke coming out of something. The first thing I'm going to do is go open that door, flip on the light switch. Oh, right there's an extinguisher. Perfect. So it's, you go by it, and it's also easy access for a stranger, if they're coming by and seeing that. The main electrical breaker boxes in your buildings, another great spot to have them. A lot of times those are mounted over by the doors. Sometimes they're not. Carrie, if I remember right, in your building, wasn't yours off away from the door?
No, the main barn is right by the door.
It is
And
right
so
by that
was
door?
the
Okay, I
shop.
couldn't remember. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. All right, never mind. I thought for some reason yours was one that wasn't. So if it's not, one by those, boxes for sure. You should have a fire extinguisher. The rule of thumb is you should be able to get from the fire to your extinguisher and back in 10 to 12 seconds. Fire doubles in size every 10 seconds. So if conditions are right, it goes fast. So that's why they say that. That's why if you're in Walmart or Target or something, you'll see they have one on about every pillar in that building. That's what you're supposed to do. Granted, we don't all do that, don't get me wrong, but it is a good thought to remember that I should be able to get to it and back in 10 to 12 seconds. On your equipment, you should always have an extinguisher on anything that has a motor on it that's running, whether it's your side-by-sides, your four-wheelers. I mean, the sky's the limit. You can put them on anything. But if you're out and about in the pastures or grass or anything like that on a four-wheeler or side-by-side, things can happen. So, they even recommend them on those. And balers, swathers, tractors, anything you got that could cause a fire, we really probably should have a fire extinguisher on. Any questions on that? Perfect. All right, so let's jump into a little bit about fire departments. So as I said, you have your volunteer side and you have your paid side. Volunteer, as what I am, our response time, and this is based on a good day, that's the time pager goes off to the time I get to the station, get dressed, truck's aired up, out the door to you. When you call 911, we're looking at 15 to 30 minutes. 30 minutes is forever if you have a fire. I hate to say it, it's the God honest truth. We don't have enough people in the fire service right now to help this number. And in the rural areas especially, nobody really works in these small towns. We all travel outside of town. Maybe we have a few farm guys that are on our department, but by the time they go from the farm into town and that whole process, it just takes us too long. Again, we don't have the numbers of people. I'm fortunate I have a roster of 20 or 21 guys right now. The problem is there's about 2 or 3 that are in town on a daily basis. So not good at all. It's just the nature we live in right here in this part of the country. Now you guys, I'm sure you have volunteer departments, but you probably have paid departments pretty close. Your full-time departments, they're at the fire station. They're there. That thing is manned 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, split crews. Usually some of them work 24 on, 24 off, or maybe 48 on, 48 off, just depending on how they have it set up. But they're there. Tones go out. They're at the truck. They're out the door. They're to you 5 to 15 minutes, for those guys. They have a set crew, like I said, meaning they have an engine crew, a ladder crew, a rescue crew. Whereas the volunteer side, you're everything. Whatever happens, maybe you're driving the ambulance that day, maybe you're driving a grass rig, maybe you're driving the pumper truck, maybe you're driving the water tank. You just, wherever you show up and what's left in the building, that's what you drive. So they do, the full-time departments usually have a lot better equipment. And I'm not saying we don't have good equipment. We just might not have the newest, greatest stuff that some of these guys have. They certainly all are gone through Firefighter 1, Firefighter 2, which is a national test that fire departments would require to be on a full-time, as well as EMT. I personally have Firefighter 1. I do not have Firefighter 2, and I am not an EMT. I could go do that, and that would be great, but it's not required for me to have great class, just a long class. So, you know, if you're in a rural area and you are live in a volunteer district, and they have a fundraiser or something for equipment, go benefit them, guys, because they need all the help they can get. And I don't know if you guys have watched and noticed, as a whole in the country, the whole fire service is down on personnel right now. So if you know anybody that wants to be a firefighter, have them go visit their local guys. Carrie, you're signing up, right? Perfect.
What are you asking me?
I said, you're signing up, right?
Sign up.
Yeah, you're going to be on the fire department.
Oh, well, luckily we live, there isn't volunteer in my town.
You're all unpaid there?
I think so.
Or full-time?
I mean, I think they had maybe have some extra guys on the wildlife side, or the
Sure.
wildfire side.
Yep, no, and I'm sure they do out there, especially, if something bad happens, like they had that big fire down in Sterling, Colorado here a couple of years ago, they brought guys from your area out here, for the wildland stuff. Because, yeah, there's a red card. That's a wildland certification that, like, for me to go up on the government funded grounds and stuff, I can't even go up there as a volunteer because I don't have that card. So, yes, that's what those guys are doing. So that's good. Any questions on the fire departments, guys? All right. Now the fun part. So, Carrie, I hope you haven't spoiled it for everybody, but yeah. So, as being a volunteer, my job also is I work for AKA Safety Equipment based out of Rochester, Minnesota as a fire safety consultant. I go around. Typically, I only deal with farm, ag, rural area folks. I do some business stuff, some mechanic stuff, racing stuff, but my primary focus is on folks like you guys. And back to that reasoning being you are your own fire department. A lot of times you have to have all the tools in the bag in case something happens. So what I do is, you guys see these extinguishers right here. This is some new stuff that's came out. Not that new. It came out in 2009, but it is very new to your area and my area, especially as we haven't had any reps in these areas in the past. So I've kind of took over a lot of Colorado, huge portion of Nebraska, some of Wyoming. I keep very busy. What it is, guys, is if you can all see this, which I'm sure you can, this is your traditional fire extinguisher you guys probably all have outside of Carrie. What this is this is a 10-pound dry chemical fire extinguisher. It weighs about 20 some pounds altogether, but what is in it is 10 pounds of this right here. So I'm gonna ask you guys all a question. If you have this style of fire extinguisher, you're shaking them every 30 days, correct? No, don't feel bad. Nobody does. Nobody does. In fact, a lot of people don't even know you're supposed to do that. So yes, you are supposed to shake that extinguisher every 30 days. And the reason is, if hopefully you guys can see, is there's this powder in here. And that powder gets clumpy in there. It settles to the bottom. So what happens is, over time, that stuff packs in there and it almost becomes rock hard. So you pull the pin, you squeeze the trigger, it goes, but nothing comes out. That's why. So what you're doing when you're beating on the bottom of them with a rubber mallet or shaking them is, it almost, probably hard to see on there, but it's almost like a liquid. It's a very, very, very fine powder. There's three things about this stuff that is not a good application. One of them is the fact that it needs maintenance every 30 days. Two is this stuff is highly corrosive. So if you get it on wiring, on machinery, on anything, and you don't get it cleaned up instantly or fairly quickly, it is going to start eating away at stuff. Monoammonium phosphate is the stuff that is in there. Not good to breathe in. It certainly makes a mess. If anybody has ever used one, you probably had powder all over the place and not fun to clean up at all. Once it gets air to it, it hardens even worse. So that's why they are one and done extinguishers. You used it one time, you put the pin back in and you went to try to use it again later on, it's not going to work for you. You're supposed to replace them every 10 years. Again, don't feel bad. Not a lot of people do that. You know, you just notice that you have an extinguisher and you assume it's going to work. So what could we do to come out with something a little different? And that's what they did. So as you see here, this is what they call stop fire. Yeah.
Hey, you might want to stop sharing your screen and make your video full size.
Okay, give me 1 second. You asked me to do something.
Call your wife.
I'll call back up in. Give me 1 second. Or have Landon do it.
Yeah, you know.
Hey,
there you go.
See me better? Yeah. Perfect. Thanks, Landon. That was Landon, in case you guys didn't know. He's smarter than me. He's only 11. But anyway, so out comes Stop Fire in 2009. These are a liquid gas fire extinguisher. This fire extinguisher right here weighs 3 pounds. It is equal in firefighting power to this 10-pound extinguisher sitting right here. This one weighs 5 pounds. It has 2 1/3 times more agent in it than this one. It is equal to a 20-pound dry chemical fire extinguisher. You're used to your gauges on your fire extinguishers being up here. These are actually on the bottom. Pressure only, just like they do. But as long as it's in the green, you've got pressure. It's got a liquid in there. You know what it is. So what it actually is, is a liquid gas. It almost looks like water. I don't know if you can you see that in the cup, Carrie?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay. Perfect. Looks like water. It's bubbling, kind of like 7-Up in there. If you guys were here, Carrie got to touch it. It's very, very, very cold. It won't burn you. It's not liquid nitrogen, but it is super, super cold stuff. And how it works is very, very impressive. So what I put in here is just some regular Zippo lighter fluid. So let's say you have a fire. All you have to do is just get the stuff close to the fire and the fire is out. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but there's a vapor coming out of this cup and that's the gas. So this gas is drawn into the heat. So anytime you have a fire, you guys all remember the fire triangle. You got oxygen, you got fuel, and you got to have heat to create a fire. So what this is simply doing is the heat draws the gas to it. It pushes away that oxygen. It doesn't take much to do. It's also a heavier than air. And it won't let it relight. And I don't know if you can see in there, right here on the edge of the glass bowl, the smoke won't come out. It's keeping the smoke in there. It is heavier in there. It won't let it relight. Now, let's say we blew all that gas out of there. And you're back. And again, all you got to do is be close and the fire's out. This stuff is non-corrosive, non-conductive, meaning electrical fire, no mess. Carrie, you're laughing. I know you are. You can spray it, you know, on yourself. It's going to turn to ice here on my shirt because it is cold, but it will not hurt you. It does not hurt animals. It does not hurt humans. I would not recommend drinking it. That's probably going to be a bad day for you. But, you know, if you had to use one in a barn, you know, in your house, you know, wherever, it's not going to hurt anything. Yeah, you can see it's turned to ice on my shirt here for a second. These are also multi-shot units. So, meaning you had a fire in the barn in the electrical breaker box. You grabbed it, you twist, pull this pin, this cover will come off, and the cover is just keeping the stuff out of the nozzle so we don't get dirt and stuff in there. Short burst. So you guys all know these, you bury the trigger and you spray like crazy. Hopefully it comes out, puts fire out. No, not anymore. Short little burst, let that gas go. 1 to 2 second bursts. You'll see smoke turn white. White smoke is good smoke. Once that's done, the pin back in, the cover back on, this is ready to go again. These are refillable units as well. We do recommend after you use it, let's get it refilled. You certainly do not have to if you don't want to. I've got some customers that said, "Oh, Tim, I barely used any of it. That was awesome. I'm going to wait." That's your choice. If you've used half of it, I highly recommend we get it refilled then, because what if that next fire is bigger? We certainly don't want more fire than firefighting power. There is a lifetime guarantee as well that come with them. If you dropped it, broke it, any reason this is not in working condition, let us know. You get a brand new one. We understand on the farm, sometimes things get tossed around and, maybe misused a little bit. Things happen, just don't freak out, let me know. But yeah, it is the best of best stuff, and could save somebody's life and definitely your property. If you don't have anything at all, hopefully at least have something like this. But if you haven't maintenance them, they're old. These all have a date on them on the corner to tell you how old that extinguisher is. Certainly if it's over 10 years old, I would get rid of it, and look at doing something different, because you never know, guys. Like I said at the beginning, fire does not put itself on the calendar. It shows up unexpectedly. But yeah, so that's some new technology out. It is great. So you don't have to worry about cleaning up a mess in your kitchen or your barn or your vehicle, anything like that. So I probably told Carrie that, if you had a vehicle on fire, you don't even have to open the hood anymore. You spray through the grill, maybe under the wheel well, something like that. Just spray that up in there, let the gas expand. It expands, it draws into that heat source. It's over. So fuel, diesel, gas, oils, ABC stuff, just like your other extinguishers. Class 8 fire is anything that makes an ash. So your straw, your feed, boxes, paper, anything like that. Class B would be all of your liquid stuff we talked about, your gas, your diesel, your oil. The sky's the limit on that. Anything that's liquid, that's flammable. And then Class C is your electrical. So ABC, all good for there. And there is a Class D fire. That is a metal fire. Metal fire is very difficult to mess with. And Class K is a restaurant. If you hear anybody talk about Class K, that is a restaurant extinguisher. It's a glorified Class B fire extinguisher is all it is, but they have to have a Class K by code. So yeah, that's a quick rundown on those. Carrie, what am I missing that we wanted me to talk about?
I think we covered it all. There's a couple quick comments about what makes your job easier if you show up to a fire. And then any last questions?
Yep, no, great. So for me, what makes it easy is one, kind of some of the stuff we talked about as far as things being labeled. If we go into a place where we know there's fuel involved, stuff like that, it's nice to know it's separate. Two, I know it is hard to say, hard to do, but do not panic. And panic will get you in more trouble than anything. So if you had a fire, remember some of the stuff we talked about. Definitely encourage you to research some more things. I know we didn't even begin to cover a lot of it, but do not panic. And then two, when the fire department gets there, be a help, don't be a problem. And I mean by a problem is, screaming and hollering, do this, do that. Let them do their job. Explain to them where stuff is. That makes life a lot easier for us. We get the job done a lot quicker. Again, I know it's hard. It's hard to say that, when you've not been in that situation. As far as the guy needing help, I grant it, if my house is on fire, my kids are inside, I'm going to panic, but try to keep calm. I know it's hard to do. Keep calm, help the guys out. If, you're in a rural area and you do not have water hydrants, if you have the opportunity to fill out of a well, your fire department can fill out of your well. That would be a great benefit. That helps us a lot out here. We have designated farmers that have irrigation pivots that have fills for us, so we don't have to go 15 miles back into town to get more water. I don't know that that's something the case in your guys' area, but if it is, if you have that opportunity that they could use that, absolutely let them know. They would be very appreciative of that. That would make it a lot easier as well. So as far as my job I get paid to do, man, Carrie, you and I talked for a long time that day. I get a thank you every time this pager goes off. Usually we get a thank you card in the mail to the fire department or something, and that's nice. But there's nothing better than the phone call. Tim, I used one of your extinguishers. Thank you. You saved me a combine, a tractor. I mean, the list goes on and on of guys that have used this stuff. That means more to me than anything because I've met them, face to face. I told them what they needed. They listened. Sure enough, they had a fire. The statistic is a farm will have a fire great enough in size to need a extinguisher once every 3.5 years. A lot of times those are just contained little small fires that you could probably throw dirt on, but a small percentage of those fires turn into the big disasters we see on TV. So, something to keep in the back of your mind. Hopefully you've never had one, and hopefully you never do have one, but the chance is always there.
No, guess I'm waiting.
Yeah, no, that's a good problem, Carrie. This isn't a challenge.
We did have we spread manure on our regular grass.
Mm-hmm.
I was like 12 years ago, and we made a grass fire.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I mean, I never would have thought that could cause a fire, that stuff, but certainly it does. And man, I'm not joking when I say when we're out on grass fires, that's like the never-ending job. The day that never ends is when you're going around spraying cattle eyes all day long that are still burning in the pasture. So, yeah, definitely.
No, if anybody else has any questions, jump in here real quick, and then maybe you can put your contact information up again, and then I'll shut the meeting down after a couple minutes.
Sure, absolutely. I'm going to do that.
Anyone jump in if there's any other questions.
If I don't have
I had a question, kind of unrelated, sort of, but like controlled burns and stuff. Do they still do that? And what's the importance of that, I guess?
Absolutely. Controlled burns are very, very important depending on your area. How it works for us, if you have something that you want to have as a controlled burn, you have to get what they call a burn permit. You would just go to your local firehouse. Whoever the chief is, usually is the one up here who assigns those burn permits. Sometimes they will ask if they could come maybe join you as training. That is awesome to be able to do that. On our side, is go out, we get to do like a drip line, meaning back burn stuff, practice our own stuff, and we get to do you a favor, get rid of that grass or whatever needs burned out. As far as like a tree pile or something like that, the process is the same up here anyway. I assume it would be for you guys, is you got to have a burn permit, because if you do not have a burn permit, you can get a fine for that. Obviously on a red flag day or windy day, you're not going to get a burn permit. They're going to tell you, no way, Jose, nice try. And you guys all know you don't want to be burning on plumb windy days. But yeah, so
So Sammy, were you talking about the ditches and stuff, or were you talking about when they do it in the forest? the Forest Service?
Well, I've seen the forest stuff, and then also just like I'm from Georgia, and in Georgia a lot of people will just have like they'll just burn piles of brush and all that stuff regularly, and it was never a big deal. But then moving here, people talk about fire very differently. So yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Any
Yeah.
day now you'll start seeing the ditch burning because it's about that time of year. And then occasionally when somebody had a field that didn't do well last year or was partially damaged for another reason, we'll burn a whole field.
Yep.
And they most often bring in the department when they do that.
Yeah, no, that's good because we have like half section, quarters, half section, sections of CRP grass up here that they, through the program they're on, they have to burn it every so many years. And they certainly, it gets big and it gets fast. And we actually took the boys and a couple of us went and helped the guy this last year do it. Thank you. It is crazy how if you've ever been around it or in a big field that's on fire and you watch, fire makes its own wind. And it is nuts watching that stuff when it takes off. It gets crazy. It sucks in all that oxygen to make the fire and fire tornadoes. And yeah, it's crazy. And it is a good thing to do. I mean, it's one, back burning around your farm could be, key for the whole thing burning up. If you had a bad wildfire that broke out, it can't go, there's nothing to burn, right? So, we'll see people do that occasionally. They'll just go out 50, 60, 75 yards and back burn around their place, get all that vegetation, old dead grass off. So, especially the years it's dry, and the wind's blowing every day and you don't know what's going to start it. So, yeah.
Thank
But
you.
no, absolutely. And springtime is the burn time. That's usually when everybody's burning. So yeah, you're going to be seeing it sooner than later. You're going to notice a lot of fires going on here before long. So hopefully they all stay as controlled.
Yeah.
I've got a question on the extinguishers. What's the cost difference between the old ones and the ones you have?
There is a big cost difference. I'm not going to lie to you guys. These things are not as cheap as that big one I showed you by no means. There's a couple different reasons. One, with the lifetime guarantee. Two, the multi-shot units, the technology into them and stuff. These run at $600 and $900 retail price. As Carrie's put this together, we'll definitely have a little discount program we run for you guys. I did it for her as well. I'll work with you on that, but they are not as cheap as your other ones. You can go buy this 10-pound extinguisher at Home Depot, Menards, probably Walmart. Well, I don't know if Walmart has 10-pounders, but parts stores, anything like that, you probably aren't going to spend over $200. It's probably more around $100 for one of those, but you better shake it. There's a lot of reasons why this stuff is not cheap compared to that, but it is worth every penny if you had to use it. What your house equipment. There's definitely, we can always put in the bad. I kind of jokingly tell everybody that nobody's ever said, "Oh, Tim, those aren't as expensive as I thought they would be." Everybody's like, "Oh, you were lying, they are a little expensive," but I get it. That's pennies if something happens. So definitely. And good question. I was hoping nobody asked that tonight, but no, I'm teasing.
How often, that's not likely that somebody would really go through many of those in their lifetime though, right? I mean, it's not
it's crazy to say that. So I've had it happen numerous times. I'll be working with my farm guys or, people like yourselves, and they'll buy some from me, and I've never used a fire extinguisher before. That's a good problem to have. I have 3 different people now that within 2 months of me selling them fire extinguishers called me and said, "Tim, oh my God, I had to use one." Why did you know that was going to happen? I don't know what's going to happen. It just, I happened to God put me there that day for some reason to sell them to them. You know, getting them refilled, what's crazy is the chances, unless you're in a high, like a weld shop or something like that, the chances of using the same extinguisher more than 1 or 2 times, very unlikely. Not saying it can't happen, but usually it doesn't. I've had guys that had to get them refilled, obviously. Had guys call me and buy more after they used them. Said, holy crap, I need more here. You know, never say never, I guess, because the second you say, oh, I'd never use, you know, those, guess what's going to happen? So, yeah.
Right. How much are the refills?
It's 30 cents a gram. So that probably doesn't tell you a whole lot. This one here has 1,000 grams in it. This one has 1,750 grams in it. So if they were bone dry, this one's 300, this one's 525 to refill.
Okay.
So, yep. And then one of the reasons we also recommend, you know, either after every use and or at least at half, it does keep that cost down, but that is not the important reason. The important reason is we don't want to do it at half of the extinguisher. So, you know, that helps. And then there is always the option of letting the insurance company know. We've had some people do that. The insurance covers the refills. They will not buy them outright for you. They don't endorse us, like they don't endorse Century, Amerix, Kitty, any of the fire extinguisher companies. They just don't endorse us. You guys know how insurance works. But yeah.
Funny though, after we talked about that, that however many months ago it was, my care, custody, and control policy, basically from State Farm, has a line item for it.
Yes, and so it's good you say that. So I even have, because I asked my insurance guy, I said, hey, can I get a discount if I have this stuff? And he goes, Tim, you already have a fire suppression discount. I'm like, oh crap, I don't have no fire suppression discount. Sure enough, he pulled up my policy and built in right there, it's like a 2% discount because they just assumed I had fire extinguishers. They know they don't go door to door and ask, or up here they don't anyway. So yeah, I was like, oh man, I didn't even get any more of a break. But so did you get a discount then, Carrie, on your premium?
No, I think I have it for any refills or replacements if I had to use it. Yeah.
Awesome. Good. Yes. Good. Heck yeah. Good to know. And that's through State Farm too?
Yeah.
Yep. Perfect. Good to know. So heck yeah. What other questions you guys got?
So I just have one question. I'm not in Colorado anymore, but we do have fires in Missouri every once in a while, I suppose. But say you wake up in the middle of the night, which is typically when I feel like these all happen, and your barn's on fire with horses inside. What do you do? Besides the obvious question, which is call the fire department, you know, you hear heroic stories of people going in and letting the horses free and things like that. When do you go in? When do you not go in? You know, kind of, what do you do?
Yes, no, and that's a very, very good question, a very, very tough question, and a very, very scary question. So the reason I say that is absolutely you want to do everything you can to get your animals out of that building, right? So, you know, you got a fire like the picture I showed at the beginning, you know, it's coming out of the roof, coming out of the windows. I'm sorry, your horses didn't make it. I mean, don't put yourself in jeopardy of going in there because the smoke, you know, we all watch Chicago Fire, we watch Backdraft, the movie and things like that. That is so fake. You cannot see literally your hand in front of your face when you have an actual, you know, structure fire going on. You get down low, it helps. You can see better. You breathe in that toxic smoke, you're done. You're not going to make it very long. So if you have just some smoke showing out of a building, you don't see any visible flames. The problem is once we open the doors, guess what's happening? You already know you're giving it oxygen. You've just cut your time to nothing to get in and out of there. So I say it's a tough question. I say it's a scary question because I don't know that there's a right or wrong answer other than if you got flames coming out of a window or anything like that, don't risk it. Do not risk it.
So is it better to just leave it closed up till you get there or something like that?
Now
I mean, I know it sounds
that's
horrible, but
I know it, and it is horrible. If you got something that's sealed off really good, unfortunately, most barns, heck, even most houses, to be very honest with you, um, you guys have probably all seen the video or a picture, and that would have been something good for me to put on here, Carrie. Thanks for reminding me. Is, they talk about sleeping with your bedroom door closed. Have you guys seen the picture of a house fire with the bedroom open and the
Yeah,
bedroom
I've
door
seen
closed?
that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It is amazing how big of a difference it makes. Now, when you got little kids, especially, you're kind of leery of shutting the door and not being able to hear them and things like that. I'm not going to lie, I'm not good about that at all. The same goes in a barn, So you imagine if you have a small fire in there, and if it is sealed up pretty good, it's not going to get enough oxygen to maybe go up as fast. It's definitely got oxygen because it's got a fire. So if you open that door, now you've fed it everything. But at the same time, you got some horses in there that are alive. You got to do something, right? So open the door, get them out, be careful. Don't put yourself in harm's danger any more than you have to, because it's gonna go fast. It is going to go fast. It used to be, with the older houses, you had 15 minutes or something like that. Nowadays, no way, Jose. They go up so much faster than they used to. And barns, they're full of straw, they're full of hay. It's just an inferno waiting to happen real fast. So I don't know if I really answered your question that well, other than to say you about have to use your own judgment, and the theory of use your gut feeling. Stick with your gut feeling. If you telling yourself I shouldn't do it, I know it sucks to watch your horses go away, but we can't replace you. We can always get you some more horses. They might not be the same one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I totally. I wasn't expecting an answer, really.
yeah, no, and it's a tough question. People ask it a lot. I get asked that a lot, and I can't come up with something that's the right answer, because in every scenario is so different. I mean, so different how it works. I've been in room and content house fires that never left the bedroom for some reason, and then I've been there and they're rolling down the hall. It's over our head when we get in there, and what was any different? I don't know. Did they leave a window open somewhere? I mean, it's just the scenarios are so different. And I mean, anybody that's been in house fires or, any kind of structure fire will tell you that every one is different. It's just different how they act and breathe, and fire's its own little human in there. It acts funny, that's for sure.
Anyone
Carrie,
else?
you're really thinking about joining the fire department. I can see it. You're going, man, this sounds fun.
Me? Yeah.
No, Carrie.
No, we have ties to the fire department. For sure. This is not foreign material.
No, I know.
We live this, so.
Carrie,
No.
from a horse owner perspective, is there anything we should be prepared for with, things like that? You see people, we hang halters by the door so we can grab them if horses get, can get them out and get them caught and things like that. But is there anything else that we should, have on hand or anything like that besides the normal first aid stuff? Just any thoughts from your perspective?
I mean, if you've got a small place, you got 2 or 3 horses, maybe haltering them, getting them out is even realistic. If I had to get horses out of my place, I'd be opening stalls, not even lying. They're going to run and they're going to take care of themselves, or they're going to not. This week I have a stallion, so that might be interesting. But yes, the burns are a big deal. But they have to survive the smoke inhalation first. And the effects of that are not always seen day one. So you treat them as you see them, but most of these guys who got any kind of exposure are going to do poorly over the 3 to 4 day mark and probably not make it. So And I don't know if getting them out and humane euthanasia is a little better than having to watch them burn, but yeah, you can't burn either. And then the other thing about maybe gloves, like if you're going in the fire, I don't even know, could I touch my stall doors, right? Because they're metal. So
Right.
I don't know if I could even get them open to get the horses out, even if I got in there. So
I mean, sometimes I couldn't even get your doors open without a fire. So just
Well,
kidding. Just kidding.
you
There's
needed
a
to go to
couple
the
of them.
gym, Sarah. You got too soft while your horse was on rehab.
I know. I know.
So realistically, you know, fire is not a good deal. And Tim said many times it's unpredictable. I think, Tim, did you have a statistic about, I mean, you were making it as a joke at one time, but if one of those extinguishers didn't put it out, was there a certain temperature? I think you said something like, I would run if it
Distance.
didn't even work.
Yeah, if you have to, turn your back, basically, let's say you had a fire and you got up there and you're standing 8 to 10 feet away and you have to turn your back because it's too hot. That's a big fire. That's probably too late for a fire extinguisher. Your 911 is your best friend at that point. We certainly, I don't care if you try, but we don't want somebody running up in there. And I talked about a flashover, something like that happening and you're gone, So we jokingly say these are badass. They are not a fire truck in a can. They are still a handheld fire extinguisher. And that's probably kind of what we talked about there, Carrie.
Yeah, I think it was that 8 to 10 feet rule I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. You made a good point about the gloves and being able to touch your metal door. To be very honest with you, if it's too hot to touch, it's too late. Anything inside there's probably gone. That's to get the door handles hot. It's been burning a while. That's hot. I mean, think about touching that door and how long it's took to get it that hot already. It's probably a big fire, unless maybe it's only on one side of the building and everything else is on the other side. If it's a big, barn or shop or something like that, maybe, but most likely, and you said it earlier, Carrie, the smoke's what's going to do the damage. The smoke is what kills you. The fire comes after that. So, you get yourself buried in with smoke and there's nothing you can do about it. You can't take it like they do on TV, I promise you. So
yeah.
Right. So Carrie, if you do get them out, like what do you do after that? I mean, obviously call your vet, but for smoke inhalation in a horse, I mean, what are some of the things you can do besides throw them on a trailer and
get
get
into
to
the
a
hospital? Yeah. It's going to be oxygen therapy, anti-inflammatories, antibiotics, and systemic support, and see if they can regenerate the respiratory system. And a lot of times they can't. Horses' lungs are just so huge. Even getting them treated for bad pneumonia, sometimes we can't even get to the areas of the lung with perfusion that we need to. So honestly, right. Sarah, you're kind of in a spot that maybe has half a freaking chance, because you could get to an H-spot. So a hyperbaric oxygen chamber,
yeah.
we don't have one here. So, if you're close to Lexington, maybe
yeah.
That's what I would do to treat them. But
so you're saying I should just go to Rin Riddle?
Yeah, go to Rin Riddle.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. So
I had a question, because recently I had an old friend whose mother was like, they were breeding dogs and whatnot, and there was a house fire, and her mom put puppies in the oven to like protect them. She actually didn't end up making it, but the dogs were okay. Is that like a smart decision if you have like a house fire? If you have valuables and things, like, can you put them in the oven to try to save them? Like, is that?
I would have bet you $100 that was not going to be the answer that you said when you said they survived.
Yeah.
did that, again, here we go with, where was the fire at?
Right.
How, if it stayed out of the kitchen and it was just smoke,
Like, yeah.
absolutely. I imagine that they could survive in there. I would not recommend it because,
Yeah.
man, now they're definitely have no chance of survival if that fire gets in the kitchen because it's going to cook them in there,
Sammy,
yeah.
don't put the baby in the oven.
Yeah.
I know. It was a crazy in the story. I mean, she survived. She went to the hospital, but did not survive like the smoke inhalation, like her lungs, whatever. But they like wrote in the article that she had put one of the puppies or something, one of the dogs, I think it was a really young puppy, like in the oven to save them, and it ended up working. I mean, the dog survived, but it was
She
just I'd
probably
never.
got confused. I think they tell flood families to store things in the dishwasher.
Oh,
And she probably was just like half baked already and put a puppy in the oven. I don't even know why.
Sure.
I have no idea. I just never thought of that. But I mean, I guess if it was just it would have prevented them from breathing in any of the smoke, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I I wouldn't recommend it, that's for sure. But I mean, I guess, no, let's not do that. If you're
But
gonna take the time to put them in the oven, throw them out the window. You know what I mean?
What if like even just like personal possession things, like would that save that at all, or is that going to catch fire anyways? It doesn't matter.
I mean, the oven's going to burn up. You get a kitchen fire, you get a fully involved kitchen on fire. I suppose it may, act as a safe for a little while, but as soon as those seals burn up, I mean, you're back to nothing there. Or, usually the glass will break on the, the oven door has glass on it. Glass gets hot, it shatters. It really shatters if you hit it with water when it's hot. So if you're going to throw them in the oven, throw them out the window. That would be my suggestion to make sure you save them. I mean, most generally, in your kitchen, you have a window. So I would get them out the window and get your butt out the door. So, or if you're not going to put a whole lot in that oven anyway, carry it out with you maybe. Again, it's the scenario and what you got going on. It differs on each fire, but I would certainly not spend much time messing with the oven and putting stuff in there. I'd just get it outside. So, and do not go back in. So that's the next big mistake. Somebody will come out the first time and think, oh, that wasn't so bad. I'll go back in and get some more stuff. And that 10-second fire doubles in size. They don't make it back out.
Yeah, that was exactly what happened. I think she had gotten some of the dogs out, went back in to save the puppies, and ended up like passing out in the house. They got her to the hospital, but I think in like the few days after that, like she just didn't make it. So that smoke is so toxic. And like I said, the newer the house, the worse it is on toxic stuff. Wiring, there's just so much more wiring, electronics we all have now. It is the toxic fumes this stuff puts off, even on a vehicle fire now. It is ridiculous. Like there is no more heroes don't wear SCBA masks when we go on vehicle fires. Everybody wears a pack now because of the toxic gases that come off of the stuff burning in these vehicles. So yeah, we all want to be cool and the tough guy and not put one on. It's not worth it anymore. Definitely not worth it. Not even worth it in the old days, but we all done it. So. Yeah.
And do not ever walk in front of your car if it's on fire, or behind your car if it's on fire. Your little gas shocks in your bumper. If you have not watched videos and seen it, watch them. Those gas shocks get hot and they explode and they'll shoot out. They can kill you. They can kill you real fast if they hit you just right. So if your vehicle's on fire, get away, get clear off to the side of it, and do not stand in front or behind it. So something for you guys to keep in the back.
What's the deal with gas station pumps? I know they always tell you not to be on your gas on your phone while you're pumping gas.
Yes.
Clearly most people don't listen to that. But
right. Yeah. No, I get it. Neither do I sometimes.
How likely is that for like?
I have never, knock on wood, had to go on a call that involved somebody on their cell phone at the gas station. I've watched videos of it. I don't know if it's something with static electricity or the frequencies or what it does, but yeah, that's a serious deal. They do really not want you on your cell phones at the gas station. It's kind of like shutting your vehicle off. In the wintertime, I'm as guilty as anybody. Heck no, it's too cold outside. I'm leave that thing running. We shouldn't do that either. We really shouldn't, but it's just, it's not a common, you don't see it every day on the news, but I'm sure since you asked about it, you've probably seen the videos and stuff that it does happen. So you don't be on your cell phones while you're getting gas. So, and Bluetooth isn't going to make it any different from what I hear. It doesn't matter if you left your vehicle running, left your phone in there and was playing it over the speakers, it can still happen. So yeah, stay off your cell phones.
All right.
One last thing, it's not really fire related, Carrie, but since we're talking about some of this stuff, if you guys do not have carbon monoxide detectors in your house, get them in your house. That scares me, quite honestly, as much as a fire does. You'll go to sleep, you're not gonna wake up. You can buy them at the parts store, you can buy them at Home Depot. You can get a pack of a smoke detector and a carbon monoxide detector for $30 probably. And definitely suggest if you don't have one, get a carbon monoxide detector as well. And change your batteries in your smoke detectors.
Yeah. Every 6 months.
Do you really have an option? They annoy you if you don't.
Yeah, no, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. But usually those batteries last longer than our time we're supposed to change them. So,
I also learned that smoke detectors have expiration dates. I don't remember
Yes.
where, but they do. It's
They
very
do.
surprising to me.
They do. They absolutely do. There should be a sticker on there. I'm sure each one varies where it's at, but there'll be a little sticker on the back that probably tells
Oh
you.
yeah, my house inspector told me when I moved. That was why. Yes,
Yep.
I had to replace them in my house before I moved. Yes.
Yep.
Yes, Carrie, I'm sure you can imagine my dad replacing the smoke detectors. So
I'm sure I can, because George did all of ours last year too for the same reason. I literally had to knock one off the ceiling, put the dogs in the barn, and go to like I can't get it to shut
awesome.
up. Tell my Uncle Matt, I'm like, why won't it shut up? And he says it's expired.
Awesome.
But yeah, so great guys. Thanks so much for joining, and thanks to Tim for
Yes, thank you.
giving demonstration.
Yeah, no, thank you guys. Hopefully you learned a little of something, if not just a good refresher. And yeah, you guys all see my number there. If you have any questions whatsoever, call me. I'll do what I can to walk you through something, help you out, give you some more advice. Yeah, but definitely something to think about, more often than not. We all get pretty lax on it, that's for sure. Even myself, until I actually started this job I do with these guys, I been in the fire service long enough, and you just start putting stuff on the back burner and not taking it as serious as we should. And, got lucky, didn't have to worry about it, but that's not the same for everybody. So got lucky. That's exactly what it is. So
Great. Well, everybody have a great night.
all right,
Thank
you guys,
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.
see ya.